So I thought I'd take a quick video of these beautiful fluffy clouds. There was the occasional chemtrail or two yesterday, but these ones are just awesome. Hopefully we'll get some more rain again soon, because it's been a while. It's looking like rain through there actually. But anyway, step under here without hitting my head and observe these ones. These are a good example because you can see how they are well and truly beyond the furthest mountains. The mountain creates an obscurity point which people would mistake for curvature. But look at the clouds, how they're actually flat bottomed in the distance. And again, people will confuse convergence with curvature, but that's clearly not the case. And as you can see, they're not all flat bottomed, and those ones are, but that one there, for example, that's irregular shaped. So they're not always flat bottom, but in general they are. Now this is the point I'm trying to make here. May as well look at my ugly mug while I make it, is that heat does not come from the sun. Heat is caused by the sun, but does not come from the sun. So this is a myth that I think really needs to be debunked. Heat itself comes from the neon layer of the atmosphere. It's one of the more dense gases. It's the one that illuminates first when we see the orange glow of dawn, and it's the last to glow in the twilight at dusk. It glows orange around the peripherals, but in daytime it glows bright white, or clear even. It's all the colours of the rainbow, which is why clouds reflect white light, because white is all the colours, the whole colour spectrum. If you look at a water molecule under a microscope, you will see it has every colour of the rainbow. So the neon fluorescing, just like a fluorescent light bulb, it's cold to the touch until you turn it on. Once it's been glowing for a while, it creates heat as a byproduct. So the heat comes from the atmosphere. It comes from the light. It doesn't come from the sun. The light comes from the sun. The heat comes from the light down here, where it's reflecting off most parts of the earth, off most of the ground. And it ceases, it dissipates. Heat stops existing. You know, entropy means it's no longer there. It dissipates into nothingness. And that's the condensation layer where the clouds form. They sit above on the condensation layer. That's why they sit flat above the heat layer. And that's why mountains in most regions that are particularly tall stay ice-capped all year round, even though they're nearer to the sun, because the sun doesn't produce heat. Sunlight doesn't necessarily create heat. If you put a block of ice in the sun, it won't melt. When it does start to melt, it's because of the ambient temperature around it, or the surface that it's sitting upon, getting hot. You get it? It's the clouds, by spraying the atmosphere, you're not going to block heat. You're actually going to cause global warming, for want of a better word, even though the world's not a globe, it's clearly flat and beautiful. You are trapping the heat created by the light reflected off the earth and the ground it's mostly trapped in by the oceans, especially around the equator, which is the average path of the sun. That's where most of Earth's heat is trapped. It's in the oceans. The ground goes quite cool at night, even in summertime. You step onto some damp grass in summer, it's lovely and cool. I've done those laser thermometer temperature tests, plenty of times I've gone for walks, doing moonlight temperature tests. And the road can still be 24 degrees centigrade. In the shade, it'll be about 21, sometimes 20 degrees in the moonlight. But you step onto the grass in the moonlight, it's about 12 degrees. It's lovely and cool on your bare feet because the transpiration of the grass, it breathes and it expires moisture, has a cooling effect. So heat always rises up to the condensation layer. So anything that is giving off heat will cool down. So the moon light accelerates the heat loss. That's why the grass gets particularly cool, because it is transpiring, whereas the road, it's just a dumb bitumen road. It's only giving off so much heat, but it will still give off quite a significant amount more than the stuff insulated from the moonlight in the shade. Whereas the grass in the moon shade is still quite hot. I can't even remember now, it's a few years since I've done these temperature tests. But the point is, the ground doesn't hold the heat. On a clear, cloudless, moonless night, or irrespective of the moon actually, they're the coldest nights. In the middle of winter, if you have a warm day and then it comes overcast, you wake up in the morning and you're not nearly as cold because of the cloud cover capturing the heat. The heat comes from the earth, not from the sun. I just thought I needed to make that clear. Talk to you next time.